I have to admit that I am my own worst enemy when it comes to keeping my resolutions. My own worst enemy. It's this defeatist attitude that's fed by this negativity that just goes through my head. This negativity like, you read the U.S. World and News Report. 80% of resolutions fail by mid-February. And you said you're going to be in the 20%. Yeah, right. How have you been in your resolutions so far this year? You think you're going to make it the whole, it's this negative attitude. It's like, okay, fine. I've not been as successful in keeping my resolutions as I had really hoped and planned and prayed for. But the good news is I keep getting back up on my resolution horse. I haven't given up just yet. And yet, it's this negative attitude because the sad reality is our attitude very much controls whether we're going to succeed or fail. If we are telling ourselves that we're going to fail, what are we probably going to do? Fail. And so what I found helps me the most to overcome this negative attitude is to surround myself with people who have a can-do attitude. Surround myself with people that have a positive attitude. Because the reality is it's not always going to be easy. I want you to place yourself in the scene of today's gospel. The wine has run out. And Mary says to Jesus, do something about it. He didn't seem overly enthused about that. But that didn't slow Mary down, did it? I love the way that Deacon Kathy proclaimed the gospel as only a mother could. She put that mother emphasis into it when Mary said, do whatever he tells you. So you're standing there, okay, they're out of wine. Mary encourages you by saying, do whatever he tells you. And you're like, okay, fine. And then Jesus says, fill these water jars with water. And you're like, the problem isn't water here, sir. The problem is we don't have wine. So my mind is going to be like, okay, you're filling it with what they're not having a problem with. They need wine. And it's like, oh, well, you're going to just turn that water into wine? Yeah, right. Like that's ever going to happen. That negative attitude. And yet, in the midst of that negativity, we have Mary. The Gospel of John chapter 2 verse 5. Mary, the mother of Jesus, said, do whatever he tells you. Do whatever he tells you. Surround yourself with people that have that can-do attitude. I am so enjoy reading the book Healing, Bringing the Gift of God's Mercy to the World by Mary Healy. She is somebody that I can resonate with because as she wrote on how we can utilize the encouragement of others to help us do things that we don't believe we can do on our own, she puts it this way. The most important key to being an instrument of the Lord is given by the person who knew him best, his mother. Do whatever he tells you. John chapter 2, verse 5. These words spoken by Mary, his mother, at the wedding at Cana resound to all Christians of all time. They are, in fact, the last words Mary speaks in the gospel. Her last will and testament for her children. In the context in which these words were spoken, Jesus had as yet done no miracles. So up to this point, Jesus has done no miracles. So remember, you're the servant standing there. This guy hasn't done anything to prove what he's about to do. What's your mind telling you? Positive? Are there a bunch of doubts there? Mary turned to the servants with this advice. Do whatever he tells you. In effect, this is what I loved about the way Deacon Kathy, she forced Jesus' hand. Such was her faith, coming from her intimate knowledge of her son, that she actually accelerated God's plan. Makes me feel better to know that Jesus needed the encouragement of his mother every once in a while, too. Surround yourselves with people who have a can-do attitude that will encourage us to succeed. Seeing 6 huge stone jars standing nearby, he told the servants, "Fill the jars with water." We have to realize that from a human point of view, this instruction made no sense. The problem was not a lack of water, but a lack of wine. The servants could easily have grumbled or outright refused. What a ridiculous command. It was no easy job to fill these jars, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. It meant numerous trips out to the village well, hauling up and lugging back heavy bucket loads of water again and again and again. Yet these servants, on the strength of Mary's word, obeyed Jesus and filled the jars to the brim. But before the miracle, another act of obedience was required. Do you remember what the second act of obedience was? Now, Jesus asked them to draw out some of the water and bring it to the steward of the feast. Again, this made no sense. Bringing a ladleful of water to a steward stressed out by the lack of wine could lead to embarrassment at best, or even a sharp rebuke. See, the Bible said the steward took the water that had been taken out of the jar. And when he tasted it, it became the best of wine. Look how many people needed their attitude to be adjusted for there to be a miracle. And it all happened because of the encouragement of one woman. Mary, do whatever he tells you. And that is what we are being encouraged to do today. To encourage one another, to help one another to realize we can keep our resolutions. We can grow in our lives of holiness. We can grow in our lives of healthier living. We can be happier. Through the encouragement of one another, we can succeed. We're praying for each other, challenge each other, uplifting each other, doing it in our own unique way. Mary, she took advantage of being Jesus' mother. But each of us have been gifted in a unique way for the benefit of others. We read in the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verses 7 to 10, to each individual the manifestation of the Spirit is given for some benefit. So each and every one of you have been given a benefit by the manifestation of the Spirit. To one is given through the Spirit the expression of wisdom. Now, if you want to surround yourself by good people, it's probably helpful to pick some wise ones with that can-do attitude, wisdom. To another, the expression of knowledge according to the same Spirit. You know that the knowledge of others will help us in keeping our resolutions by providing with us information that we need to succeed so that we can be holier, happier, and healthier. According to the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. I believe you can succeed through the power of the Lord in your life. I believe, I have the faith that you could succeed. To another, gifts of healing by the one Spirit. to another mighty deeds, to another prophecy, to another discernment of spirits. Surround yourself by people that have the manifestations of the Spirit, that have these gifts, that can encourage you in ways that you may not be able to encourage yourself. It's this can-do attitude of others that will help us to succeed. We believe in you. We believe in each other. Seek encouragement, but then give encouragement. And together we will fulfill our resolutions and be holier, healthier, and happier.